Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 4th of September. So first things first, let's look at the news events that are going to hit us today. We've got the Bank of Canada rate statement there. We've already seen the Australian data coming out there. We've got US dollar job openings that could see a bit of movement around that, and the Bank of Canada's press conference at 3:30. So this afternoon we do have, let's say from 2:45 onwards, we do have something that will at least affect the Canadian dollar, if not more. But however, we are seeing, if you're looking through the markets, that you're seeing quite a lot of action in some of these markets. We've seen oil slipping. I mentioned yesterday about the productions levels likely to increase, hence the oversupply concerns that are coming through here now. We saw them fall over 5% yesterday in the end. Unfortunately, very early. Other things that are happening out there in terms of what I'm looking at is the S&P dropping, obviously. It's the most since the August meltdown here. It's a huge down day there, falling more than 2%. Again, it's a bit mixed. Into technology really dragging it back to the downside. There's a sort of a knock-on effect from China running through these markets. The lack of growth there is not helping things. Whilst the US has been largely looking, a lot of the numbers have been relatively positive from more of a soft bounce. There are some coming through now that are a bit harsher, and yesterday was no exception. And well, that is being reflected in these price action. However, the dollar itself is being bought effectively, because we're seeing the likes of the euro here. Let's run through these markets. Euros continues to sell off here. We've got the monthly pivot. I keep looking at this below, which could well be a target for this euro eventually. This morning, well, it's a little bit all over the place. Now it could become a short on the break of the daily pivot here. My daily pivot is providing it a bit of support at the moment. If it's to start breaking below that, I would be quite interested in taking the short side down to the daily S1 at least, maybe leaving a little bit in there to see if we can do something more with it. But we'll see how that goes. You see, yesterday it was quite a bitty old day. It started selling quite well after the sort of that morning sort of move, and it sold off, only to recover quite strongly in the earlier part of the afternoon, then to fall again. And well, it is quite a bitty market. You need to leave the stops, give the stops a bit of a berth, a wide berth, to stay into some of these trades. The pound, similar in terms of its downside here, continuing this downside. I've got my quite aggressive, I say aggressive, but I was looking for the bull flag. This is starting to, in terms of time, take too long now. So I'm going to remove my old alert here. I'm not interested in what I was looking at in terms of, let's get rid of that. The earlier part of the week here of the break of the weekly pivot, it's just phasing out for me. So there's a time when I just give up on it, and now's that time. It's just, as I say, it's just taking too long. When this downtrend, it sort of equates to, well, it's equating to probably at least half of the flag itself. The flagpole's getting too long. Effectively, the flag itself is getting too long and too droopy. That's a way to look at it, but it's just not looking as good as it was. Okay. Again, here with the pound, I'm just sort of looking this morning. It's sort of sitting there quite consolidated. It's whether or not it can start breaking down. The target's not as clean as the likes of the euro there. We saw an equal spike there yesterday in terms of it came back to the, let's just drag that, continue that through. There we go. This trend line here, we're sitting on it at the moment. It just spiked through momentarily there, but it is looking soft in terms of what we're going. We're still seeing lower highs, lower lows. That was quite a significant move there at 3 o'clock with the US data coming out. I'm just looking. I think we could just see a continuation to the downside here. It's yeah. Okay. US dollar yen. Another one. This is the strongest here. Mentioned it yesterday. It was starting to move. It's continued its move here. The problem with the yen is that often it's moving, doing most of its move in the Asian session, which no real surprise there. But we are seeing a bit of overlap and a bit of continuation. Yesterday it already moved right the way down there into 8 o'clock. It rallied for a while, came back off again. The dollar yen, and well, we're seeing it continue to the downside here. It hasn't had such a big movement here. We could see the yen just continue to benefit. So hence this US dollar yen continuing to fall. So I'm looking at that this morning to see. I haven't gotten any. I'll need to look at that in a bit more detail and see if I can get an entry from it. So it's on my sort of sub-watch list at the moment. Aussie dollar. Well, just looking at this at the moment, yesterday it was a strong down day there. It's currently hanging in there a little bit on this current move, but really softened up here. Now this was one that originally at the beginning of the week was looking like, well, it could have carried back on upwards there, but really coming off yesterday morning and then coming all the way through, consolidated a bit like the pound, effectively consolidated where it's sitting at the moment. Again, I'd really trade this on the shorter side at the moment and look for the breaks to the downside. There's no immediate entry for me again, but I'll keep an eye on it through this morning. The US dollar CAD. Now the CAD was actually doing quite well until yesterday. It's holding up in its movement, but it put me off a little bit when we had this sort of move away, this bigger move away from the trend line. Since then it's a bit up and down, and well, you can see it sort of moved up there. It held up there yesterday in the end. Just held up there. Maybe if it was to start, I mean, at the now I'm just looking at this trend line. If I can get the cursor onto there, there we go. This trend line sitting somewhere there, so it's quite a way before it breaks the trend again, and it is just continuing to put higher lows in here at the moment. So at this rate, we should really be probably looking at the upside more than the downside. As much as on the bigger picture I was looking for a continuation of this downside, it's somewhere in between. A continued move this morning could see these prior highs broken and see us running up towards the daily R1. But of course I'm looking at this in quite some detail, and then my brain's just switched back to the fact that we've got news out later on today, so perhaps best left anyway. New Zealand dollar, technically that is on the Canadian dollar anyway. It could whipsaw all over the place, the Canadian dollar, so I'll steer clear of it. The New Zealand dollar, another one really bull flag territory on the bigger time frame here on the dailies, coming down to the 4 hourly. It's starting to get like the pound. It's starting to come off just too much, effectively. Starting to get more lower highs, lower lows. Now of course we could see something more developed, but it just looks weakish. Maybe a sell into but on a reaction to the underside of the daily pivot could be a potential. But yesterday it just got really quite ugly. It did the morning session there and then just got ugly. We could just end up with more ugliness. Don't like ugly. US dollar Swissy, well, we're still seeing the Swissy looking very much like the yen and improving. Daily wise, it just continues through. We're just seeing this consolidation really. Is it going to catch the bounce here and continue to the upside? which it started, or we're going to see, I mean, it really becomes more bearish again if we look at a break of the weekly pivot here. It's put a lower high, and it's a bit of a mixed bag again, the dollar Swissy. Put the lower high in there. Too much uncertainty. A couple of other markets I was looking at yesterday, this didn't trigger for me in the right time. This I was looking at for the reaction of the 50 MA. I missed the initial entry, what could have been an entry on the breakdown there. Fortunately missed that, but it was in the very early part of the new hour, which I'm very suspicious of anyway, those are very quick movements. But it's not done anything since. Again, it might look like it's going to roll over, but I don't like where it is from here. That's the Euro New Zealand. The EURUSD, on the other hand, it's on the cross pairs I look at quite a lot. We did get the alert go off yesterday. I haven't yet shorted this, so it's just wrong timing as it for me, as it sort of runs through. It's down at 6 o'clock when it would have triggered yesterday. Just waiting to see what happens here with this morning. Again, though, there's the risk with the Canadian dollar, so I may just have to wait until tomorrow now. Right, okay, that's the major currencies. Quick look at gold. It's me going into full analysis of the EURUSD and remembering that the CAD news. Gold. So gold's trickling back here a little bit. A stronger dollar, just showing at the moment, but I wouldn't be fazed by this if I was long on the gold at the moment. I think it's got potential finding support into that monthly pivot. Oil, on the other hand, this may be getting a little bit overdone. We've got to be a bit careful we don't just jump aboard here, because it won't take long for OPEC Plus to come out with a statement saying, hold on a minute, we'll cut rates, or we'll do something with the rate, or hold the cuts. Certainly you've got to come out into a weekly picture to see where this is going, and it's quite a mess. Here we go. So it has broken back down here. I'm just looking for the next sort of levels of support, and we're sort of quite a well, 66, somewhere in that region. Now that's looking at the prices that I'm quoted on this, but with this particular broker, you've got to look at your own broker prices, I should say. But I'm looking at the sort of lows around June, sort of lows as a possible target, and maybe of a bit of a continuation. But again, for me, my preference is to trade this in the afternoons. It went very sharply yesterday morning, pretty much after I did the video. It just literally bang, it fired down initially and then found a bit of a bounce, but it come off later. It did come off in towards my usual time, but it already moved so far. But still looking very, very soft. Sell into the retracements potentially. Just be careful not to just try and jump aboard where it is selling into a low. Right, that's oil. S&Ps. Just going to go over just the S&Ps here. See, quite a strong down day. Let's get it onto dailies. Here we go. There we go. Yesterday, quite a strong old day. Last time we saw days like this was in August, when it all got a bit scary. Sometimes these can be overdone. There is the argument it's pretty close to a double top, and so you'll get sellers coming into this market. They'll start seeing it move, and they'll continue pushing in to sell it because it's near the tops. One thing's for sure certain, that certainty isn't there at the moment. That's the certainty, that there is no certainty. And the markets are getting a bit the heebie-jeebies on the technical side. The stocks that have led the way up may be leading the way down very soon. There's concerns over AI, etc. There are big concerns over Chinese data that's been coming out there, which is just not helping the markets as a whole. Anything that's sort of showing potential world slowdown will potentially knock these markets, but let's see what it does. At the moment, looking soft. Whether we'll get something some reaction to that monthly pivot would be what I would be looking at. However, it could be a ride down there. There could be a ride down there, but again, this is just the way it's sold here. I'd look for a retrace. I'd rather see a retrace, maybe looking at the shorter time frames for some of the moving averages to find support, but it's in quite a mess there at the moment. Following suit then is the DAX this morning. Now the DAX had pushed into a new high there, and it has done this key reversal bar. Now this is quite a significant bar here when we see these. Saw one back over here, over here. When they start coming in, they can be quite ruthless in terms of follow through. We'll see what it does today, but it too has its monthly pivot below there, so there's potential for further downside. Again, just be careful. It's come off so quickly here. We'll look for the retracement, see where they take us, and maybe look at selling into one of those. Finally, the FTSE. Sorry, I missed this yesterday. I get little complaints. The FTSE, well, it's doing the same as everything else really at the moment. It's not providing, and in fact, in some respects, it's weaker. It's below its monthly pivot. It's broken through the monthly pivot. They're currently trading up below that, so it's quite a weak sign. But likewise, it's into its S3 here at the moment on the weeklies, and into its daily S1, finding a bit of support. Just be wary that just see if we can get into a sell into the retrace. Okay, that's it for me this morning. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you in tomorrow. Bye for now.